alum of John Jay College, class of 2018. But I'll let her introduce herself and her background. But take it away, Lauren. Thank you for being here with us.
Hi, thank you for having me. So as she said, my name is Lauren Smith, and I did graduate from John Jay College back in 2018. I currently work at NFA as a financial analyst on the financial analysis and surveillance team. I graduated from John Jay with my bachelor's in fraud examination and financial forensics. However, that was not something that I always knew that I wanted to do. So prior to deciding that what I wanted to major in, I really was not totally sure what I wanted to do. I actually attended like 4 different colleges throughout my undergraduate career. Ultimately, before John Jay, I went at Baruch College because I had the idea that I wanted to do something in business. However, to this day, I actually still do not remember how I stumbled upon John Jay's fraud examination program, but I am really glad that I did because I knew once I saw it that it was exactly what I wanted to do. And then so once I started at John Jay, I started looking for internships and ways that I could get experience that aligned with my major. However, back then it kind of seemed like it was just a new field and I wasn't sure how I was going to get much experience. But when I started my internship search, I found that there were actually a lot of opportunities out there for me. So I applied for many internships. And then so the first internship that I actually started working at was the New York District Attorney's Office. Because they hired interns to work in their forensic accounting and financial investigations division. And during my time there, I was able to gain experience basically of what the district attorney's office does behind the scenes before prosecuting somebody for credit card fraud. And during that time, I worked very closely with one of the investigators. And I was able to work on 2 of the cases that she was working on at that time. I actually interned there twice. They did invite me back for a second semester. And while I was there, I was also still like working on another part-time job and still in school full-time. So it was a lot, but I was glad that I did it. After my internship at the district attorney's office, I applied for an internship at NFA, which I happened to find online. I was actually the first intern at NFA that came from John Jay, and that was in this program. So I applied for the internship at NFA to be their compliance intern, and this was during my last semester at John Jay, so it was fall 2018. And then during this internship, I was able to gain lots of experience with what a compliance examiner does at NFA. I was able to participate in some examinations that they did. However, I mainly worked closely with the team that I'm on now, the financial analysis and surveillance team. And I was able to experience what it was like to work on this team by doing certain quarterly assignments. And I was able to participate in team meetings as well. Luckily, at the end of my internship, they offered me a full-time position to be on the financial analysis and surveillance team as an analyst, which I happily accepted. And since I started that position, I started graduate school at Iona College to get my MBA. And I was actually just recently promoted to analyst 2 as well last month. So that's a little bit about me and my background with working and school.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. We can open it up to questions now. So for students, maybe if you're in the same major or if you have any questions regarding NFA or the career path, feel free to turn on your mic. You can type it in the chat box, but the floor is yours. Ask any questions. We could also use the raise hand setting if that's more comfortable for folks.
Hi, my name is Kelly Rodriguez. I am also in the fraud examination major at John Jay. And as someone who has completed it, I feel like my only way to excel is to get my CPA and my CFE. Are you looking to get that, or are you not? Is what I'm basically trying to ask.
Hi. So yes, I actually took the CFE exam last year, and I'm currently waiting on my 2 years of experience to get that certification officially. And I actually am looking at getting my CPA. So yeah, because like you I just feel like it will give me some additional knowledge and background.
Do you feel like it's worth it to like either promotionally or just new opportunity wise, or is it just not, unless you're becoming a CPA, unless you're becoming a CPA, is it like worth it? Is what I'm asking.
I think it depends maybe person to person. I think it's worth it, just because you never know when you may need it. I know there's a lot of like continuing education that has to be required once you get your CPA, but I definitely do think it's worth it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Lauren, can you talk about how, like, what kind of skills did you develop during your internship that then translated into your career that you're, or your work that you're doing right now? And then the second part of that would be, what advice would you have for students that are looking to build their portfolio now before maybe, maybe we have some graduating seniors on here, maybe we have alumni on here. What is a great skill set that you use in your everyday work that students can begin developing while they're still pursuing their education?
So one thing that stuck out to me in all the internships that I both internships that I did and that I still use today, is learning the ins and outs of Excel. That played a huge role in my first internship at the DA's office, and I still use it currently at work pretty much every day. And what I did was I would just go to the LinkedIn classes that they offer to just try to get more familiar with it as much as possible. I think that kind of answers both questions.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, this is Natalie. I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Lauren. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
So my question is, I have many years of experience in finance, healthcare, and so on. My goal is to be a financial analyst. I have not done internships, and I'm mid-career, so I don't really plan on doing that. So I wanted to know how I can navigate myself into that field. And also, if there are any professional organizations that you know of that you could recommend for networking purposes.
Yeah, so definitely I say that some experience, even if it's in a different field, is better than no experience. So I wouldn't say that you wouldn't be able to get a job or anything in a different field just because you haven't done anything in a different field, in this field. However, as mentioned before, the CFE is a great qualification to have. And then that also is a networking group that you can actually like find jobs through them, and you can meet other people that may be in a position like you or were in your position, and they could potentially help you.
And that's short for certified?
Fraud examiner. And it's the ACFE, Association Certified Fraud Examiners. That would be the networking group that you can join.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Viviana. I actually am alumni. I graduated from my master's program last summer. I did the MPA IG I owe the inspection and oversight. I also got the advanced certificate in forensic accounting. I passed my CFE and I have a year and a half of experience for it because I used to work for the Attorney General's office in the Medicaid fraud unit. My question to you, it's like, you're a financial analyst. So when I was doing Medicaid fraud investigation as an auditor investigator at the Attorney General's office, it didn't necessarily was accounting itself. Is it different in the organization that you work on? And I guess that relates a little more to the question of Kelly, where she said it's necessary to have a CPA. So at your current organization, is it accounting, or is it more like a different set of skills that you will use for investigation?
That's actually a really good question. So when I started full-time, I got a little bit more experience with analyzing financial statements. And I found that actually I felt like I was using a lot of the tools that I did learn in college, which is not something that you necessarily hear every day. I hear a lot of people say that, oh, I learned this in college, but I never use it. I actually do use a lot of the accounting classes that I did learn, which, and I would say that it was very helpful. In terms of the CPA though, I wouldn't say you would need the CPA to do my job. It would just only help advance you the day.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Don't be shy.
Hi, my name's Adniana. I was actually a graduate of John Jay last year with the fraud examination of financial forensics. My issue has been more, I feel like breaking into the, the field of finance, because I find that maybe if I would have had that internship experience, it would give me more of like an edge. But what advice or, maybe some steps that, I can take to make me more of a, I guess, a better candidate, to break into the field, of finance and just that area.
I would say if you can, try to maybe get like a part-time internship or something like that if you're currently working right now. However, I would definitely highly recommend the getting that CFE certification, just because I have seen like that certification itself help other people that I was in school with get to that job that they were trying to get, that has nothing to do with their prior experience or like didn't have much experience, and it really actually helped them.
Right. Yeah.
They thought even.
For that particular certification, do you, because I know you need to have that like experience, in order to, I guess, to get it, because I know you can pass the exam, but do you need that experience in order to be given that certification, or to, like, for example, put it on a resume?
So yes, you do need the years of experience to get the certification. However, you can put it on your resume with the disclosure basically saying that you are the candidate, you have passed the exam, and you're just pending the actual certification itself.
Okay. Could you get that experience, for example, if you were to get an internship, let's say you passed the exam and you were to get an internship, would that count as like experience towards that CFE?
Yes, actually my internship at NFA and the DA's office will count towards mine.
Oh, okay.
The full 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
I guess, again, if you could put in a synopsis of what skills do you need to be a financial analyst. So I guess now one you mentioned was Excel, correct?
Yes.
What other skills do you find that they will be looking for for a financial analyst position?
Another big thing that I would say that I do every day, but may not be that expected, coming to a finance job, is writing. I write a lot based on my findings and what I see. in the financial statements, and it is business writing is different writing from like say like writing a paper in school. So I would say become familiar with business writing and writing emails, etc.
We have a question in the chat from Monet. She asked, won't the master's replace the 2 years of experience? This is for the CFE certification.
I don't think it replaces it. I think it only requires 1 year. So masters, you only need 1 year of experience.
I remember I called the CFE when I took it because I took the exam maybe 2 years ago, and yeah, I don't think they validate it for the 2 years of experience, because I remember I called to let them know that, because that was part of my question. But unfortunately they told me not to, because you know at that point now I graduated, but I still not able to get my CFE, even though I passed the exam, and I only need like 6 months, I guess, more of experience to just get my actual CFE. But I guess just as a way to answer, because I have called the CFE on that before and to see if the master will replace that experience.
Great. We have another question in the chat. Hi, Lauren. Thank you for sharing your background. How did you become more knowledgeable in Excel? This is from Reza Santos. I know you mentioned LinkedIn. They offer free courses on LinkedIn?
Yes, you can find them. They're not all the time, but sometimes they'll just offer a free course. I believe they were actually doing one recently too, once the pandemic started and people were, home with less to do. That was the main way. And there are several YouTube videos as well, with certain things on just how to use Excel.
The public library also offers free computer courses, as well as all of the online platforms like Udemy, Coursera, MOOCs. Those are virtual learning tools that may offer courses as well, but those might have a fee to it. But the public library also does offer free Excel courses and other computer applications. All right, we have another question in the chat. Any advice for a rising senior when it comes to preparing for post-grad and deciding between grad school or taking a gap year before grad school to get some experience?
I think that's a very personal decision. However, I do think that experience is very, very important. If you can, I would say maybe try to do both at the same time. Just taking maybe one class at a time, which is actually what I did or am currently doing. But I would also say, don't put too much pressure on yourself to feel like you have to know what you're going to do right now. You can always do both. You can apply for some jobs. You can also apply to grad school, because for grad school, you can always defer your enrollment. And for a job, if you get a job that you're accepted and you feel like it's the perfect job for you, maybe you decide that that's what you really want to do. And that's what was supposed to happen for you.
We have another question. Is internship experience acceptable to qualify for CFE? I believe you said yes, correct?
Yes.
Great.
As long as it was full-time, that was the thing.
As long as it was full-time experience, okay. Is the requirement the same if you are interested in banking/finance as a financial analyst or a fraud examiner?
Is what the same, I guess.
Natalie, can you expand on that?
Hi, if you're looking to branch off into that area, would it be the same requirement for, say, a position at the DA's office?
Yes. So are you talking about in terms of the CFE?
Yes.
Okay, so yes. So it's not a requirement to have it. I just think that it's something that can definitely help you. Most jobs do not require it, but it is just something that is a great qualification to have.
Okay,
That
thank
answers
you.
your question.
Yes, thanks.
Hi, it's Kelly again. So, do you think that it'll be better to take a master's program that might take up to like more than the 30 credits that you would need to reach the 150, or should I rather just take the 30 credits with the specific courses that I need to qualify for the CPA exam without taking an actual master's program because it might take less time?
That's actually a very good question. So most master's programs are 30 credits. So personally for myself, I would just get the master's just because it's going to take the same amount of credits to achieve. But I know there are some programs that may take longer. So I think if you would rather it be quick and short and get the 30 credits and then take the CPA exam and be done, then I would say that you could do that. Especially because the master's is not required for the CPA. However, if you want your master's at the end of the day, or you think you may want it in the future, it may be worth just maybe taking the extra half a year to get it.
Okay. Do you recommend taking, because I was looking into it in John Jay, and they said instead of taking the master's program at John Jay, she said just take the forensic accounting certification that's equals to 30 credits. Do you recommend taking it at John Jay, or should I look into other places to take master's program?
I mean, I think maybe just have your options open. It never hurts. But if you're talking about the certification for the fraud examination and financial forensics.
That was the only thing that so I talked to the major advisor,
Mhm.
and she was saying that instead of taking the master's program, to take the forensic accounting certificate, which is an extra 30 credits, which would qualify me for the master's program, for the CPA test. But
Okay,
if
yeah.
I'm going to, that's why.
I would definitely recommend to do what's best for you. At the end of the day, you know, you're the one that's either going to have the master's or the certification, and if whichever you think is better for you right now, do what you need to do for right now, and you can always go back and get your master's later if you decide that that's something you want to do later on. I've found that it may seem very scary to go back to school once you're working, but I find that if you do what's best for you and that take maybe one class or two classes, you can really make it work more than you may think.
Okay, thank you.
I guess another question related to what Kelly was just talking about was when I started my master program, because I took a long time, like 4 years to finish it, because I was working and doing other stuff. I did give my shot to my CPA, but unfortunately didn't pass on my first try. So then I decided to focus on my master's first, and then later on tried my CPA. Do you think that, well, I personally believe that a CPA is more needed if you want to go into like the private industry, because I have found at least that a lot of private companies, if you don't have the experience, what they're really looking for is for you to have a CPA. So do you share that you will feel like on a more private level you need a CPA, and maybe if you want to go like government wise, you might not necessarily need your CPA if you're doing forensic work?
So yes and no. To my surprise, actually, I do 100% agree about the private sector. But to my surprise, at the DA's office, you could not get past like the level 1 investigator
Okay.
investigation if you did not have a CPA.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
surprised about, but yeah.
Hi, I have a question. So again, about the whole CPA that we're talking about. Is there like a requirement to sit in for the exam?
To sit for the exam, you need the 30 credits. Actually, I don't think you need the 30 credits anymore. I think you need to be working towards the 30 extra credits. And you don't need to have the year of experience yet either. I believe have your undergraduate degree.
Yes.
Oh, all you need is so undergraduate degree. So when you
Yes.
say 30 credits, you're saying 30 credits in accounting that you
30 additional credits that you need.
It's not just accounting. It's some of them you have to take specific business courses as well, especially for New York State. That they're like one of the few that require the 150. A lot of other states only require 120.
Oh,
But if you
right.
plan on working in New York, you need to get the 150 with the specific classes requirements.
Oh, I see. So those, that of course, I guess would be listed on their website, right? Like the specific courses that they would be, okay. So my other question is, what are, like, if you have any recommendations in terms of like where to look for these, like, I guess, you know, job opportunities or maybe internships, because, you know, sometimes it's like you may be looking in the wrong places, maybe you're not finding. Sometimes I feel like I'm searching, but I'm not really finding the full view of what opportunities are out there. So, you know, are there any places that you recommend, you know, specifically looking for? Is there like a, for example, I know for higher education, because me myself, I have like, you know, 3 years of experience working in higher education, and I know they have their own, what do you call it? Like a website where you can go and, you know, universities post specific undergraduate jobs that are, you know, are available. So is there a place, maybe like a one stop, or if there isn't a one stop, is there like a place that, you know, you can find, you know, different opportunities that are available?
So I know that people don't have luck with Indeed. I've heard that that's something that people say that they apply for jobs and never hear back. I actually got both my internships through Indeed. So that's the only job board that I've really used. And I also did know that one of my actual close friends that did get a job through John Jay's like career board.
Oh yeah, I will say John Jay's careers, it is pretty good. I've used it a couple times for other. They do have some good stuff up on there, but sometimes I do want to see if maybe there's like another place that I can search, and maybe there's some other stuff out there. Would you say for Indeed in particular, sometimes I feel like they just have so many things up there that it can, you know, is there maybe like a strategy that you use for LinkedIn? Because it is rare, I think, to hear someone that's had such a great experience like with Indeed. Like they do have a lot of stuff, but sometimes I think that because they have so many candidates that are applying, maybe it kind of, sometimes I feel like it gets, you know, because you apply to so many things and you don't hear back. But I guess in short, like, is there a strategy or anything that you use, or is just your wonderful like resume that you have?
I think it was a little bit of luck. But I also think at the time when I was applying, that fraud examination of financial forensics was like not something that was that heard of. So then when they looked into it, it was something that was like, oh, wow, this is actually really great. But I'd also recommend like trying to like search using different words, like moving the words around a little bit.
Okay.
Because you'll be surprised, you'll actually find different things and you'll say like, think that it should have came up the way you searched it the first time, but it actually didn't.
Right. Okay.
To also help, I know it depends if like where you want. If you want to work for New York City, there's also the New York City jobs website, which is a127-jobs.nyc.gov, which I've applied for all of the DOF internships that have popped up, because I want to, obviously, finance. I want to work for Department of Finance for New York City. So that's also a good place to look.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if you know a specific place that you want to work or have an idea, or like even like a county or something like that, you can always check like the location specific websites.
Right.
Even on the New York City website, even if you don't want to work for Department of Finance, or you apply for them, there's also like finance type audit internships with like Department of Buildings and all of that. So I would definitely look at this website, but also all of the internships that I've gotten have been through John Jay's like fairs. So they've had a couple different, like they've had the fall internship fair where it's like the big one in the gym.
Yeah.
But obviously now that everything was online, it's a little bit harder. But I would definitely say those internships with like the face-to-face, you can really, my resume is good, but I really thrive on having my personality shine as well. So I would say definitely try to look into the stuff that John Jay posts, because they typically, people who go to John Jay saying, I want interns, want you because you're a John Jay student who, if you qualify, obviously, who qualifies for them. So definitely look through John Jay as well.
Yes, I will say the same thing as Kelly, because when I did work for the Attorney General's office, I did found that job on the John Jay Careers, that where all the jobs are at. So, you know, it's definitely a good tool to try to find some good jobs out there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I actually had another one that I kind of just thought of, because it's interesting that your background right now is a mixture of public and private. And I actually had that in an interview one time. They had asked me, why, because it was for a public office like job, and they had asked me, why public, why private, kind of that differentiation. And I was a little bit stumped because as a new graduate, I'm very new to the interviewing, and these are like career job interviews that I've never really had before. So I'm curious to see, as someone that has worked in both, what is like the big difference, or is there a reason why you prefer one over the other, or can you just speak more to it?
That's actually a tough question. I did not, as an intern, I don't know if I could necessarily say that I recognize the difference between the two. And I will say, right now, even though it's technically private, we're not necessarily a private company because we're a self-regulatory organization. So it has a little bit similarities, I know, to say like a government entity, even though it's not. But yeah, I don't necessarily know if I see the difference. When I was at the district attorney's office, one of the investigators' advice was to get experience in both. Didn't really elaborate on the difference. So getting experience in both is probably a good idea. However.
So I heard you say federal, so like the government. So if you plan on, so I do a program with Homeland Security Investigations, which is a federal agency. So if you want to do anything federal, DEA, HSI, DHS, CBP, any of them, ERO, like whatever you choose, I would definitely say make a USA Jobs account as soon as possible. Unless you're applying for the FBI, who has their own little whatever, USA Jobs is where to go. And also, let me tell you, I know FBI is like the big three letters, and that's all anybody knows or cares about. Yeah. As someone who's met the FBI, they're all, they're not all that, honestly. Like, yeah, if you want to be like, if you only want to be a lawyer and then become a special agent, then sure, you can go to them. But if you want to actually like do law enforcement or like white collar crime like I want to, make a USA Jobs account. It'll help so much. Apply to whatever you find on there. It's like basically like a LinkedIn, but for federal jobs. Definitely look into it.
Thank you.
We have another question in the chat. What was your study regimen like for the CFE exam?
So we actually got it through work. So we kind of just had like a 4-day intensive training program, and we took a part at the end of each day. But since I had planned to take it, my plan was like to take it by myself. My plan was to do, I guess, a shorter version of what the CPA does, where you have to get it within 18 months. I was planning to just have myself get it within a year, and give myself 3 months to study for each part.
I guess just too, because I know some of you are still in John Jay, so I'll recommend you guys do it now, because that's when I did it, they give me, I don't know how much the exam is, but because I was a student, I actually got a discount. So it only cost me $700 compared to whatever amount you might, it was a couple thousand, or I don't know how much more, to get your CFE if you're not a student. You have to be a full-time student. So if you are, I'll recommend you look into getting your CFE now, because you could get the experience a little later. But if you have, you know, it's also, you could have that discount from the CFE to take the examination. I personally, I passed the CFE within like a month. I did 1 week for each section because it's 4 sections. And then the last week, I just took the actual examination. If you buy that CFE packet, it also gives you the a lot of multiple choice. So as long as you do all the multiple choice questions, which is like 500 questions per section, you know, once you get to the exam, it's also multiple choice. So it's, you know, you should be able to go through the exam. Which, if you want to get it, I think it's, in my opinion, a lot easier to get it than the CPA, because I've taken both. The CPA really took me a whole year just to study, while the CFE, you could, I don't know, at least I do it within like a month and a week. So, but I'll definitely recommend for you guys to do it if you are still a student, to take advantage of that discount, especially on the current financial situation that we're all going through.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to add too is actually, so the forensic accounting classes taken at John Jay help you a ton for the CFE. When I was in the training program, pretty much all of it, I was like, okay, wow, I know this already. So definitely take it now, for the other reason that you'll probably remember a lot of what's on the exam as well.
Also, with the fraud examination classes at John Jay, some of them require you to buy an ACFE membership to get the fraud examiner's manual, and that's only $25 compared to the hundreds that you would spend getting a regular membership if you weren't a student. So I agree with Viviana, get it while you're a student, because there are so many discounts that they offer that you should definitely take advantage of as soon as possible.
Any other questions? We have another minute or two.
Yeah, I have another one. When it comes to your interviewing, you know, because you've had interviews for really good like internships and jobs and stuff, what is something that you feel like might have given you like an edge, or maybe if there's like an interview strategy that you have, because of course, you know, they chose you for the job, so I'm sure you have like, you know, maybe some tips and tricks that you can share.
So one thing that I definitely did was I researched the company ahead of time. Even if, like, say it is for like the district attorney's office, you may think that you already like know, okay, it's a district attorney's office, but actually do a little bit of research and just find out some things, and then that can also help you ask good questions that's very closely related to where you're interviewing, and just be prepared. I would always write lots of notes with talking points beforehand, and I would say that that's really helped me.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, well then I guess in closing, Lauren, if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe one favorite thing about the current work that you do, or if you know you had to impart one piece of wisdom on our students. I know you echoed a lot of this throughout your conversation, but what are some final thoughts of yours for the students looking to get into this field?
So one thing I do just want to say, like, you guys all had really good questions. And like, of course, getting a job is something that you really need or want to do. But just don't put too much pressure on yourself to make a decision tomorrow with everything, especially now during the current situation. Of course, we all, you know, we want to have a job and have everything together and, you know, everything figured out, but it's not going to happen that way. So like, don't put that pressure on yourself. And I would say one thing that I really like about my job is how much it actually relates to what I learned in school and what I wanted to do. And I would say that kind of leads into the other thing, like make sure that what you decide to do is something that you really want to do and you see yourself doing it long term. Of course, you can always, you know, go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out, something else, but you want to love what you do, or at least close to loving what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Just a final thing, guys, keep an eye out for news about our fall career fair. It will be virtual, and that will be taking place on October 1st. So I know a lot of you have had experience with the career fair, so we hope you can join us there and continue to connect on LinkedIn, build your network, attend these employer events. Lauren, if students have questions, would they be able to, should they contact me if they have questions for you, or Tulin, or, you know, about NFA, you can contact Tulin. I don't know if anyone wants to share their contact information in the chat or where they can direct any of their questions, but this has been a great session. Once again, thank you, Lauren. As a fellow alum, you know, it's really good to see our students doing well. Tulin went ahead and put her email in the chat. So if anyone else has questions regarding, you know, some of what she talked about, or opportunities within NFA, they will be at the career fair as well. So this is exciting stuff. So thank you all for participating. And I hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Good luck to everyone.